How's it going, everybody? Sorry, I had some difficulties getting started up here, but let me get all this fresh and get this music off. We'll get going. So, thank you, everybody that stopped in. I can't call this history. Like I said on the previous one, this is I guess we'd call it like an alternative history or alternative timeline, or um, yeah, we can't call it history. But I appreciate everybody that stopped in so far. Terry, Wankaroo, Michael, Emily, Canadian, Jonas. Nice to see you guys. Um, I'm going to be going over the uh, the map that we went over before. I got the artist in the description as well, and we covered the interior on the last part. There's a little bit more lore that I want to go over. We will get to those orgs and elves and leprechauns and whatnot at some point. Um, let's see. I think because we're gonna be going over the continents basically on the outside. Not all of them fall on the secondary ring that we talked about yesterday, that red ring, but yeah, they're all very unique. And then like the crazy things to do is actually watch kind of the routes that they take from the old world, as they call it, and the gate itself, and then how far away they end up into the new world. I think it's very significant how far some people get, and it almost seems like the more I've looked into it, it seems like the farther and farther out you get these like strange prison colonies for any countries that did venture that far out. So we'll go over that today. We'll probably go over Shangri-La. Um, we got some stuff to cover with that, and then, like I said, we're probably going to start with a little bit of the lore that I left out last time. We went over some lore in the beginning, but we got to get a little more of it out of the way just to kind of better understand what's going on in the area, and then we're going to go basically. I'll probably go clockwise on the exterior continent, so we'll probably start as Xenonesia, 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 with everybody's favorite topic, the New World Order. And yeah, I'm gonna turn my camera on and read the chat while I get a beverage ready, have a cigarette, and then get ready to dive into some of this. Let's see. I don't even know what I have set up so far. Oh, okay. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing well. Sorry, that was probably loud. Oh, how was everybody's day? Hopefully well. Oh, a long day today, seems like. And I just had some coffee, so I'm kind of in a weird mood at the moment. And Wangaroo, to your statement about the orcs, the orc brownies, the author, whoever, or the illustrator and the author of this work, he makes a couple kind of borderline jokes. He also makes some kind of a joke referencing the Goobacks from South Park. I think he calls them like Gokako or something weird. But It was a they took our jobs reference, and I was like, oh, and the similarity in the name. I'm like, oh, okay, I know where he's getting it. That's got to be a Trey Parker thing. All right, the New World Order. All right, all right, all right. Oh, so this is when this is several centuries after the Black Moon that we learned about, and also the event that opened the gates, as well as Magellan's. Did I get that right? Is it Magellan? I thought it was Magellan. No, I gotta check. But yeah, Magellan's trip, unless I'm yeah, Magellan. And ever since the gates have been open, everybody's picking sides on who thinks they were open for what reason. Some people think it's a bad thing. Some people think it's a good thing. Some people think it's God punishing. Like there's just a split society, just like any other big thing that would happen. Especially if there was any humans around when it happened, we'd be quick to blame. I don't know if we'd necessarily give credit. So I'm assuming this map is supposed to take place in 1830 AD because 380 years since the Black Moon happened, I guess. The one that opened up the gates that they knew about. So just to give a little time frame from the last backstory we went over. Yeah, like I said, I'm gonna have a cigarette real quick and then we'll get into it. We're gonna cover a lot of areas today, so I'm gonna try to read a little faster. Why do I look like writing? Because there's text on the screen. And I'm going to read it here in a minute. We'll learn about the New World Order. We are going over the Beyond the Ice Wall 1830 AD map. And that's the next thing we're going to read about is the New World Order. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, the New World Order. On February 9th of the year 1830 AD, the cosmic disturbance that incited the greatest paradigm paradigm. I know this word, but I can't pronounce it. Shift in human history was inexplicably reversed. The cold light of the moon shone once again on the world within the ice wall. So the switch happened. It went back from the Black Moon, and it took 300 some years for it to happen. Okay, so I wonder if everybody's stuck now. For the first time in their lives, souls around the world would witness the brilliant glow of the moon cutting through the night sky as alien as a sight for them. The black moon was for their ancestors centuries prior, and with just as much speculation surrounding it. Was there an event just as world shaking as the opening of the gates in store? Was yet another thing so they were expecting something else to happen basically because another big event that had happened and they had just probably heard about when there was a moon. 300 some years of civilization is a long time to go without having a moon or having a black moon. um, was yet another world waiting beyond the montane ring, even more vast and full of wonder than Atlas? Or were the gates too close, cutting off the empires of the old world from the riches of the new? Or was this an omen of something else entirely? It would not take long for the truth of the moon to be revealed, but only to a select few. Beams of the moonlight would deliver a message that would only be heard by those its senders intended. Um, sorry. Word would spread through the secretive circles hidden at the tops of society. Dark truths are whispered about what this actually means, what the black moon was holding, and what the white moon ushers in. A secret cabal of elites would begin to emerge with this knowledge, guiding them, dedicating them, keeping it hidden from the masses. So this has been speculated a lot. They talk about this all the time that after some big event, there was like a lack of knowledge, and there was like a few people that maintained that knowledge and went around in what they're calling the old world and had to spread that knowledge um, to the people deserving of it, and those were the ones that were able to apparently start advanced races all over the planet. But wow, I didn't realize that it tied all that in. Secrets of the Cabal Elite would be into a murder the knowledge dedicated to keeping it hidden from the masses, for humanity has already learned far too much with misinformation dispensing through trusted scholars, respected leaders, and holy men of all creeds. The Illuminati will work to muddy the waters and flood the minds of the masses with whatever lies will keep them satisfied, while they set the stage for the next phase of their master plan and usher in the new world order. As far as the public goes, most took it as a good sign. A shining white moon is, after all, decidedly less ominous than a great black orb floating in the sky, while the moon turning black did have much to do with the spread of the skiz. Oh, skis. I think Mud Rabbit says pronounced skis. Skeeks. The undoing of this procedure did little to concern them, taking it more as a sign that they had to spread their faith to a satisfactory degree in accordance with their tradition. The Muslim world took the moon as a sign of God's righteous guidance returning to the earthly plane. Whether the guidance belonged to the Sunni, the Shia, or the Abadi sects, depending on who you asked. The implications of the white moon were seized by feverish minds in the Chinese world. Now that the region had stabilized and the moonlight has returned, many Chinese citizens are quite certain that the true dynasty of the modern era has finally emerged. The only problem being that the region is currently divided into three, with the Shun realm being the odd one out in terms of confidence, the moon becoming pale once more. So the Shun realm. We'll talk about that. It's one of the places in the Outer Ring, um, and it's right next to a couple other Chinese places, and one of them's like thriving, and the other one, yeah, not so much. They tell you a little bit about it, but the moon becoming pale once more brought the necessary shake to the population to incite the first major revolt against their fallen government, as it is simultaneously crushed between the jaws of their northern and southern rivals. No people or nation would find themselves more emboldened by the moon's reactive uh, reactivation than the French and their return to the moonlight. Coincidence with the dawn, a new regime, a new empire, a new ideology with a Napoleonic head. Oh, and by the way, I had said yesterday who I thought that the gentleman was. I'll show him again down in the bottom left corner. That's Napoleon's son. They talk about the Napoleonic War, and they seem to reference Napoleon a lot. But that's that blonde-headed guy that's drawn in the picture on the main cover is his son. I didn't know if I was going to remember that, so I had to blurt it out as soon as I remembered. With Napoleonic head, a Hovinist mind, a body of loyal citizens, and wings stretched across the two worlds, the French eagle soars under the moonlight. I think that's what the title of this is actually called. The Eagle Soars or something. Eagle's Flight. By the closing decades of the 18th century, competition between great powers of Europe had reached a breaking point. The hierarchy of powers that had taken shape over the past 3 centuries was shattered and reformed, with France reigning supreme as the dominant force of Western Europe, humanity's mightiest empire of the known world and beyond. When then the enigmatic Croatian general Napoleon rose to power in France, conflict gripped Europe as the French revolutionaries sought to conquer and reshape the continent in their own image. The allied nations of Portugal and the United Kingdom, Russia, and Prussia fought valiantly, but failed to stop the French eagle from taking flight and casting its shadow over the continent. When the Prussian homeland fell to the French hands, the Prussian nobility led a mass exodus to the second globe. Portugal managed to regain its independence and borders, but fell into civil war shortly after, while the other two allies had forsaken Western Europe and shifted their attention elsewhere. Whoops, why do I keep doing that when I'm trying to slide? Along with the fall of Prussia, the other three pioneer nations saw their own various degrees of decline, and the outer world empires they had built would collapse with their desperate territories forced to fend for themselves and forge new legacies. As independent nations, the Ottomans saw a series of revolts across their core empire, with the whole of Egypt breaking away under an Albanian regime, quickly establishing itself as a powerful expansionist empire dominating the Red Sea. Venice, thence, may have extended its lifespan through its entrepreneurial ventures in far off realms. But as the second circle was further populated, it lost its economic advantage and once again drifted into irrelevance. The final nail in the coffin began the absorption of its capital into the Kingdom of Italy following the Napoleonic conquest. The territories of Spain's mighty empire in the Americas eventually grew too large and powerful to remain under the heel of their European overlords and broke away into series rising new world powers, with Spain and colonial base in the known world mostly lost. Their territories in the outer world have followed suit in revolt. So I think you'll see it when we start going over some of them, because I've seen them all. Like when you start going past the gates, and each gate's set up totally different. Which we went over yesterday. Some of them are a lot harder to get through and are very, very dangerous to go through. Like just the I don't know if you wouldn't call it livestock, the monsters in the area. And every single area has something that's deadly, or the people are deadly, the people are savage, or there's just one group and they overpopulate everybody. I think there was one group that was making grenades out of hallucinogenic mushrooms, and they were shooting, or not grenades, cannonballs, and shooting them at other people. It was just wild places to try to go establish any kind of foothold, like past other people. So like just to bring any large amount of a community to this point would be quite hard, because most of the people are trying to block these areas, or pirates in the area. There's pirates everywhere, basically on every single edge of it. The Prussian Empire may have lost its homeland, but its spirit remained unbroken. The monarchy is currently seated on the illusory continent of Zerzura, where mind altering substances fill the air, and to open the mind of its inhabitants uh, to that which dwells behind the veil of reality. With liberated spirits and a new vision for the future, their empire would be reborn as the first true great power of the second ring. Okay. And more people that love their hallucinogens. There's like three, well, I guess one group of people that I was just talking about, they use it as a weapon. So I guess they don't really love it. They just use it to defend themselves. But on the other side of the gate, even greater changes are taking place as the various societies scattered across the second globe are increasingly encroaching upon by the nation of the unknown world. Entire entire civilizations have collapsed, populations displaced, people genocided, and non-human intelligence forced to reshape their way of life to conform with the mechanization of mankind. It's not much better for the settlers, who are forced to confront all manners of bizarre beasts, alien landscapes, and anomalous phenomenon. These factors have and will shape the culture that take root in these lands, making their society fall as alien to the people of Earth as those discoveries by the first explorers of Atlas. So the stuff that are coming into our realm, of course, would be just, or our the old world would be just as uh, shocking to the people of the old world, especially if they didn't know about the new world. It is a world of staggering immensity that no one person could ever hope to fully explore on their own. It's a world where legends are nowhere near as fantastical as the truth that inspired them, where every discovery only leads to more questions and to what lies beyond the horizon. It's a world of wonder, horror, and secret beyond belief, beyond comprehension. It's the world beyond the ice wall. I didn't see that text before. So that's all the lore that we had to go through. So now I want to get to the next part that we will be going to. I mean, is right above the Serpent's Gate. So in context, I mean, it's not anywhere near where we could get off of the United States and go, what is it by? I can't really tell from that. Is that South? It's not South America. That's Europe, right? No, I can't tell. But I was wondering what these islands were the other day. I can't really tell either. But you can actually look, and the author tells you who he thinks owns it, and it's all done by color, and it's according, well, it's not who he thinks owns it, it's who owns it in the story that he wrote. But I'd have to, there's no like key for the colors, so it's when you're reading one of the biographies of one of the lands, then you can go, oh, that's why it's this color, and all the same colors are used for all the same countries all throughout. So like when I was reading things about people of the first gate, it'll say like UK under it, and all the UK ones will be this like weird peach color, I think it is. Yeah, like a, okay, we'll call it salmon. I don't like arguing about colors, but we will start with this area because this is the title that I actually, well, one of the hashtags I have in the video, because this is one of the first areas and regions that I actually found out about in the story, because they have the artist had done just clips of this area and telling about this area before he released everything else. So you get to check out a little bit of everything else when he released the whole thing. He released it in several pieces though. Isn't that New Zealand? Off the, is it? I don't know. It's huge. It's got to be all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It looks huge. I couldn't tell if it was New Zealand or not. Breaking the action. Read too much again. Gotta have a beverage. Well, yeah, I know the big pale one's Australia, but I didn't know what the other one was. Oh no, the ones that I was really confused about are those. There's a row of pink dots that are, and it's not like, it's like a huge scattered amount. It's not like anything that I recognize or know of. But that's what I was looking into yesterday. They're pink dots. I just know they got killer dolphins in the water, right by those pink dots, that are like the worst thing you ever heard about dolphins times 11. So what did I mean by the circle of invasion? What do you mean? Refresh me a little bit more. Does that mean that all the races within are the invaders? No. So I think what they're talking about is, let me give you an example. If I can get it close enough. So these are the bleami. And they don't have heads. They're like torsos without heads, basically. These people would be considered like bringing these people around, and there's different species all over that they reference in the Outer Ring. Circle of invasion. Let me double check. It's interesting because, as you said that, this is the definition of the Great Circle. Let me see. The long-term heart of the Bleamy civilization, and the only part still left entirely independent. It is the home of the Big Bleem, the most powerful and respected of the Bleemy leaders, as well as the most developed and the most populated land in Xenonesia, especially as especially so far especially so after receiving hundreds and thousands of desperate refugees eager to follow the commands of the Big Bleem and dedicate their efforts to the preservation of their homeland and the survival of their race. The remainder of the Great Circle would prove strong and prosperous enough to make diplomacy and trade more cost effective and conquer for the headmen uh, stalking their seas. But was there another title that I missed about that? Let me see. Or was it defining the circle, maybe? Mhm. Oh, that's the one we're going to read next. The Circle of Invasion. I think that's what they call, maybe that's what they call this area. Maybe they explain why. I'm not sure. Let me double check. But yeah, I didn't realize that's what you were talking about. But it's interesting because there's like the Circle of Seaform. Maybe that's just the name of the area. There's a lot of Circle of names in here. And this is a pretty savage area. Circle of the Saz, Circle of the Prophet. But yeah, I'll get into that one in a second. Up and left from there, there's a big uh, paragraph. Yeah, that's the one I'm getting ready to read. It's right under Xenasia, Xenoasia, or Xenasia, Xenon, Xenasia. I don't know. I'm trying my best here. They're not real words, I'm pretty sure. I have enough time with real words. Because that's the area we're going to cover first anyway, so it works out perfect. Oh, yeah, I'll be off before Aaron comes on. I might not even be able to cover all these areas tonight. I can't be staying up late. I got a little bit of time though. When's Aaron starting? 9 or 10? 9 or 10 my time. I don't know. He's in the same time zone as me and I never know the time. Around 10 or so your time. So yeah. I was gonna be off before 9. So it works out perfect. I think I have the house to myself tonight. I should stay up really late, but I gotta wake up early and drive real far. Otherwise I'd do something different. I just drank decaf coffee and I barely ever drink coffee. I was just trying to have some coconut oil. I never have coconut oil, and I put some regular oil in it, some like reclaim oil that I use from my rig, and man, it's kind of wonderful. Just a little dab will do you. Nice and relaxing. Then I don't have to sit here and smoke the whole time either. I'm already smoking cigarettes and having drinks anyway. Just kill two birds with one stone. All right. I think I'm going to call it Xenon Asia. I think Xenon Asia is what I'm going with. It's my final answer. Because I'm going to have to say it a lot in all of these. So, Xenon Asia is, like I said, right above the, I think it's the Serpent entrance, right? Yeah, the Serpent's Gate. So, let's get into the people and the beings of Xenon Asia with the Circle of Invasion. This vast region of oceans plays host to several archipelagoes, unmarkable size, but notable for the unusual warlike nature, their wildlife in every sphere of life. Xenam, Xenamians, Xenamian animals will rush in an attempt to seize whatever they covet with ferocity. Hold on a second. I gotta adjust so I can read this a little bit better. I'm like staring at my screen way too hard. Oh, I gotta zoom in more. Oops. Go, gadget, zoom in. There you go. That's the stuff. Hostess. With ferocity, be it resources, mates, or territory, there is very little hesitation or caution and much energy. This draws a strange parallel with the lives of the Xenonesian sapient inhabitants. First came the Lavida, arriving by sail around 1200 BC. Through they spread rapidly without obstacle. What came next was not prosperity but brutality, coveting each other with others' wealth. Island kings waged war on one another. Recently, relentless internal rivalries married every society not at war to such an extent that no head was safe, either from the nose or from the axe, or from the noose or from the axe. Tribesmen turned on tribesmen, families upon families, siblings upon siblings, when strange extraterrestrial beings known as the Svath. Is it? I guess it would be Svath or Svat. Arrived. It was so extraterrestrials have arrived to meet them, and this is, gosh, you're talking like medieval times. This is a pretty out there timeline. It's interesting. It's very out there. So the extraterrestrials show up. Um, it was all one particular kingdom could do to beg him to put an end to all this beheading madness, and without hesitation he did so. So they stopped. They stopped him from killing each other, namely by removing heads with Svath's creature. With Svath created the Blemi. So the creature that I was showing you, um, the aliens created a bizarre race with their facial features on their torso, no heads, a bone plate to protect their most vital organs, and freakish unnatural strength. This this he reasoned would protect them not only from decapitation, but from any further violence, as even unarmed confrontation would was liable to end in mutilation or mutual destruction. Of course, he soon came to his senses and fled the archipelago in disgust, leaving the kingdom to come to terms with their horrendous disfigurement. They were surprisingly happy with Svath's handiwork, no longer needing to worry about violence among themselves, but the rest of the normal headmen remained locked in vicious war, and soon the Belimes launched a campaign of systematic genocide that erased every last human with a good head on their shoulders. Within decades, all of the Zenetian-headed population had fled to Aten or Dishipasu, and with that, Zenasia was finally at peace again. The united government they forged a great circle survived well until quite recently. It was a simple and tranquil existence where a single and benevolent Big Blem ruled over the many cities and social circles of the island. Only occasionally raids from goblin pirates and vengeful Dishipasan and ethnic pirates disturbed their peace until the first worlders arrived. So, God, all the humans died. Basically. Um, let's see. I want to move up from the gate and see kind of who got the farthest away, I think. Um, let's see. Where's our where's our serpent gate? Right here. So we went over the great circle, which is right here. What is this creature? An alpha male Zenesian raider seal. What the hell? These seals travel in sizable groups and are known to wage large scale battles for territory on the beaches of Zenesia. Yeah. Wouldn't want to deal with one of those. Or one of the people going around lopping people's heads off. Circle brawl. Yeah. Raider seals, um, torso monsters. As far as stomaching the succession of lands to what kind of conniving headmen in exchange for security against even more conniving headmen goes. The British were an obvious choice, being the most powerful naval force besides the Zenasians by a wide margin. And while they did forcibly capture territories in Hashifima, those lands are a veritable safe haven for Balim compared to the atrocities committed by the Japanese. So it doesn't tell you really much about this area at all. Still trying to figure out how to be a major trade port, a good mix of green Ukrainians, Yugots, and Hawaiians. That's not Hawaiians. What is that? Hawaiians? Circle of the Tsar. This one's also the UK, a warm end of temperature lush meadow plateaus that the British managed to snatch from the Japanese. So they're having a lot of issues. The UK is having a lot of issues with the Japanese over here. Only to use it for garden and horse racing. Most of the native Baleems had been displaced through misleading treaties, leaving the small reservations slash zoos where graciously offered free of cost relocation to Shikadora to escape the Japanese onslaught. So it was a really nice place, and the UK messed it all up because they just wanted to have horse races there. Let's see. I'm gonna keep going laterally to make sure I don't miss anything. Circle of the Cathedral, Portugal, being one of the few human empires active in Xenesia that hadn't invaded and ransacked elsewhere in the region, mostly because they were late to the party. Portugal had an easier time than most gaining an audience with the big blem, so the leader of the blems. Um, when granted them this island territory to serve as a base trade and diplomacy, diplomacy with the eruption of Islamic favor or fervor happening nearby, the Bishop of Portugal have launched efforts to popularize Christianity among local Bolimes to the same degree, although both the Portuguese government and natives have shown little interest in these endeavors. So they're trying to teach them about Jesus. That's fun. They would. How far right does this go? Zoom out to check before we're considered in a different territory. Yeah, the dip, whatever, is right next to it. I'm gonna go up a little bit before I go into that one. So, because I think we're about to start getting into like the far away, like where you send like I don't know. They've almost turned them into like war zones, I guess, and just large scale prisons. Hushafima. This is one of the ones that was referenced earlier that I couldn't pronounce. That I'm still probably butchering. But owned by Japan. The site of Japan's calamitous arrival in Xenasia that wiped out or expelled all bullying from this archipelago, as well as most of the native bird species, courtesy of vicious Shiba Inus. So I'm assuming dogs, Shiba Inus. So some kind of dog. It's funny. Um, it is the empire's first and most developed settler colony, recreating their homeland in what is essentially a second Japan on the Sea of the New World, the New World. What the hell is that? A barbaric Balim. It should never have come to this. Jeez, that thing looks crazy. Daf, Dafurosa. I'm saying it like it's German. Dafuros Balims were prepared for invasion after a fall of Hoshifima and put up a formidable fight. Their many shores, leaving Japan with only a frick victory. The headless humanoids continued to maintain fierce guerrillas in the interior, utilizing any and all tactics to sabotage the Japanese at any turn. Over years of colonial colonial devastation and bloody resistance, most of the Exalta and the Bolimes, Firasex, I don't even know what this means, have either fled or perished, with most of the remaining population being at the hardier Bruta Bolimi because of the state of affairs and their desperate lust for revenge. The remaining Bolimi warriors have resorted to a forbidden practice, mating with each other to produce a third variety that, or the barbaric Bolimi. These offspring are aggressive and simple minded beings with short lifespans but possess overwhelming physical strength and durability, exactly what was needed to become the monster of the Japanese nightmares, frequently ravaging settlements and making it impossible for much of the archipelago to be anything but a military colony. So yeah, those guys are destroying everything. I'm assuming it can't be. Yeah, that's Aten. I want to go over Aten like last. That one's the biggest continent outside of the um inner rings. We'll start down here because the farther you get out, the worse it is. That's why I said that like monster island that they had. That was probably the farthest point we've read out to so far. And I'll do this area next. Take a little break here. Yeah, nothing's safe in this area. Like there's just monsters, and if you have a head, they're just going around cutting people's heads off. Definitely not a safe area to be just roaming around if you have a head. Yeah, headless horsemen and stuff running around, conquering civilizations. This is a really cool map, though. I just love how, like, the more I read it, how in depth the of it was to come up with the storyline, the everything. He basically was world building with his storytelling. So, like I said, there's probably going to be some graphic stuff. Like the guy's not the most PC person. Um, some of the names for the goblins. I think Wankery made a joke about it not being PC. I didn't create this. I think that he makes references to South Park. I think Mudrub was here when he made the reference to South Park. Um, or when I read that he made the reference to South Park. Um, I thought it was comical. I don't think he's like got any mean things to say, but it does get a little gruesome when he's talking about some of the stuff on the prison islands. So just a heads up for people. Any people worried about trigger warnings or anything like that before we read the fine print. All right. Haven't done the circle of the prophet yet. I did the circle of the cathedral. Let's go from the circle of the prophet over and up. So, located right here, if you guys can see my cursor, the site of the first colony in Xenesia that was originally founded by Muslim merchants, mostly hailing from the Afak Sultanate, to operate as a hub of trade in Islamic proselytization. Proselytization? Proselytization? I don't know what that means. I don't know that word. I apologize. As the Dutch conquered the native regime of Indonesia, this colony would continue to operate as an independent entity, styling itself as the Mecca of Xenasia, a center of Islamic learning, while the prophetess success in converting Balim communities beyond their shores has been negotiable, ne- neglectable, maybe? No? Neglectable? The enthusiasm shared by Balim on the island itself is quite high, and their numbers only continue to rise as refugees from across Zenasia flock here to start new lives as part of the blossoming Muslim community. So there is some weird thing going on where they're trying to push they're trying to push a religion on all these headless monsters in different forms. I kind of like this area because it reminds me of the old world. I just see religion getting pushed around a lot. Which one's right and which one's wrong, and trying to. Could you imagine trying to create or teach an intelligent species or race of beings religion, or at least that your religion was right and that another one was wrong? Especially at that art, because it sounds like the Muslim religion got in there first and was teaching before the Christians got there. The same system, the Russian Neferabasta, Neferabasta, the same system of assimilation applied to Siberian and steppe people works here. Stay in one place, serve in the army, face untold horrors if you write blame with anything other than Cyrillic alphabet, and you're fine. Sounds a little intense. Chabrolais, Adeic. Each island is the fief of a Batavia bureaucrat who runs it like a strict feudal lord, extracting, extradite, no, ext- extortionate taxes, extortionate taxes. Blah, 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 I can't talk. Extracting extortionate taxes and tributes from the locals who work tirelessly, also mostly for company gain. The Lee, the Lee Huno. So that was down there, the islands above them. Of the many attempts, Vietnamese colonies of Vietnamese colonies, this is the one that stuck, and the leadership back home is bringing it for all the resources, labors, and tax that it is worth. So just sending money back. Wait, where is this? This is somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe this the Korean one is a little bit darker. The Korean Neferabasta. So the counterpart to the Russian Neferabasta, I'm assuming. The Korean script being so easy to learn, Korean food being very appealing to Bolim, and the friendliest of Koreans' drinking culture meant the assimilation didn't need to be forced in most places, but it was definitely the goal. Korea looks like it's got the farthest one away in this region. Um, Large tracts of farmland, uh, manning, manned by the Valim, and Koreans ruled by a rotating selection of iron-fisted, hard, hard-hearted, but ultimately practical governors. So they're just getting slave labor out of the Valim. Mimi Hachunumi. So I'm gonna see if there's any other colors that are that color because I don't see them. So the Zazura, I think, is the blue, whatever that means, or those blue ones. The result of a short-lived colonial effort by Siam that had since been cut off from their homeland came under its own dynasty, a very distant accessory to the royal family, uh, and split the island between Thai lords and Balim laborers. Um, the Circle of Seafoam, technically independent, but really a collection of Baleems who had threw away their dignity to grin fake grins and serve rich tourists all day, thus avoiding several far worse fates. Like a tourist island, I guess. Wenkarua Baleem are large, strong, and resilient people capable of laboring intensely for long hours. For some, there is only one obvious conclusion. This horde state set up an operation mostly by Vietnamese, but with European, Korean, and especially Japanese interests behind. It exists for the capture and trade of Balim as slaves, either in marauding incursion to other islands or from the local population. So they just snatch them up and sell them. Yeah. Like I said, the farther out you get, that's where all the crazy stuff happens. There's like no rules, especially if you make it past the gates. The gates seem to be kind of like low key. If you can make it that far, it's kind of surprising. Large islands have so the Gulak, Burma. These are the ones that he made the joke about the South Park joke about they took their jobs or something. Large islands have a respectable trading post and tropical crop industry, while smaller islands are home to local warlord pirates fighting each other for turf. Both, however, are beholden above all to trade in Balim slaves. So they're they're all involved. it doesn't uh, it doesn't get much better, I'm assuming. Birthplace of the brotherhood between Prussians and Balim with hybrid cultures, hybrid government, and strong mutual respect, the source of most of the Balim diaspora living in the Zerzan Reich. Christ des Nobles, a protectorate of Enheit, where the local Balim maintain their traditional way of life. It is primarily managed the Prussianized Balim of Enheit proper, who are arguably more ascending towards the locals than Enheit Prussians. So they're just stuck in the middle. So they're more open to the Russians or the Prussians than their northern counterparts. The colony was established rather early on an accident, as a lost Russian trade fleet were forced to settle here and adopt local Balim customs to survive. The Balim too would come to adopt many human customs, having been hooked on the luxuries gifted to them from the stranded merchants, wishing to replicate these modern wonders for themselves, leading to the birth of a thriving and unique society that was well established by the time they came back under Russian rule. Oh, not a bad area, I guess. Oops. What else do we have? I think that might be it in this area. Did I cover everything? Yeah. So it's not the worst area. I can tell you that much. There's definitely worse areas. Take another break before I start this one though. Gotta take a quick bathroom break. Gerbs. In other words, Muslim missionaries. Oh yeah. How do you pronounce it? Pros uh, give me like a what are those called? Actually, I gotta type it in. Be easier. I don't know how to pronounce it though. Proselytization. Proselytization. I like seeing it more there. It's distracting seeing it on that map. Dishapasu. Dishapasu. I'm bad at these games. Oh no, not that word. That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about proselytization. Proselytization. I don't know if I was saying it right. But yeah. I'm gonna take a bathroom break and then we'll get to this next part, this next area of continents, of islands. Do 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 do. Yeah, I'm having trouble with the pronunciation of it. Proelitization, right? Proelitization. How's it going, Jonas? Hope you're doing well. Oh, got a youngin'. Glad you're doing well. Glad I got to talk to you the other day, man. That was fun. That's we had we dabbled in a lot of conversations actually. Nothing really specific. Oh no, I get you. You're always moving around doing something. There's no still moments for the first 2 years. Proof the Illuminati exists. You can't post links. I don't think. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what channel you're on. My old channel probably has a lot more restrictions than my new channel does. It just depends. I my first one I had like Nightbot on it. I think it's still on there. Yeah, no problem. I can't highlight them off of the streaming service I use. I have to go back and like watch it later to get the thing. So it doesn't matter if it's together or not. Be easier probably for me to remember if it's just add.com to this. The Deep State Encyclopedia. All right. What I was actually trying to reach out to a guest that I had on recently. I don't know how to get a hold of her. Um I think she was going by an alias. So I gotta do some research. But her and Mud Rabbit both had these maps one time when they were talking on a live. And she had one behind her, and I didn't know what it was. It was something that had to do with the Great Filter, and I wanted to see one of those and go through one of those. Because I don't understand them. I think it'd be cool to do this every once in a while. I actually like going. I found, oh man, there's so many maps that I want to go through now after seeing these. But there's very few that are this in depth. I could go over this for a week and it wouldn't scratch the surface of understanding everything about it, probably. This is a smaller area. Oh, I want to see what the people look like first. That's the first rule. A calico woman. All right, all right. I ain't complaining. Mosanan, Moso Nosan woman. Mosa Nosan. Mosa Nosan kingdom. And the Calico kingdom. Those are fun names. Dishiposo. Dishipos. Dishipaso. Pasu. The phantom gorilla. At every turn, there can be found what can be described as hazards, uh, fortification, and booby traps. Well, I don't think I changed. I know I don't think I changed it. My bad. Sorry, let me go back and read it. I don't know if it just showed that or not. There's no way. There's no way you can send that. Oh, I saw that one. You stuck babysitting? Oh, nothing wrong with that. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier, Emily. Hope you're doing well. Hope the kid's not a brat. What is it? It proves the Illuminati exists. Is that what you said? Not a secure site. I would assume not. In every turn, there can be found what can be described as hazards, fortifications, and booby traps hidden throughout the wilderness. These islands would appear specifically designed to repel intruders as if they were being fiercely defended by native warriors, but the native people are not responsible for these deadly perils. Instead, they are naturally occurring features, plants, and animals whose attributes and behaviors make traversing these islands a harrowing venture. The native people are known as the Mosanoson humans who firmly inhabit Xeonesia, before the Baleems invaded and forced them to make new homes in these hostile lands. So they're from Xanasia, right next door, that we just learned about. The Mosanoson, the we saw what their female human looked like. All right, Zenguanesia, Sarawak, as well as natural traps and native gorillas. These particular islands were made more dangerous still when Sarawakas dropped off boatfuls of Dayak Bornines to prepare them for administration, which of course they were unable to do, but they can now be found roaming the island, ready to decapitate anyone that didn't recognize as Sarawak. Casanovio, this post Venetian nation, is a lucrative source of ruthless competition and politically non aligned privateers that can be bought by all manner of power in the region. So they're a bunch of people that can be bought out with money. So interesting group. The Isla de Saint Mado from owned by Portugal. Slaves who kicked it Slaves who kicked up enough of a fuss get sent here under the impression it is sort of the retirement place, but the Portuguese are just hoping to get someone else to tame it for them, so they don't even want to maintain it anymore. Get a retirement community for prisoners, basically. Go back up here and work my way down to the Calicchio Kingdom. Calicchi Louis. Ooh, come on. Need to go gadget zoom. There we go. Descendants of stranded Spaniards creolized with the native Masunosan, who were forced to fend for themselves and build new societies on the treacherous terrain, currently divided into an array of rival kingdoms based out of former Spanish port towns, slowly expanding their domains to the surrounding tribal village in competition with each other, the rising native kingdoms to the south. So the Musasano people, I assume, are most of the kingdoms below here. The successors of native tribal federations who collapsed under Spanish invasion and disease, rebounding to invade colonial the colonial settlements, driving out or assimilating the foreign people and adopting their technologies. Various Manasano tribes, an independent Manasano kingdom that it doesn't say anything about these guys specifically, just various tribes. It doesn't even mention any of the tribes. How far did I go down on the other side? I got to Portugal. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I think, yeah, I got everything. An independent Manasano kingdom that rose to power after natives overran. Sorry, can't see it either. An independent Manasana kingdom that, or Moso Moso no San Moso no San kingdom that rose to power after natives overran Spanish settlements, killed many, and assimilated the rest. They managed to ward off further colonization while knitting the island under a single monarchy that, or uniting the island under a single monarchy. The kingdom remained highly isolation, isolationist, aside from raiding their neighbors for riches and slaves. One notable detour from, gosh, their isolationist tendencies came in, sorry, the 1780s. I can't read it from here. Keep backing up instead of scrolling down. I apologize. In the 1780s, when the group of Indonesian Islamic missionaries showed up, and the few who weren't killed managed to charm the kings and marry into the aristocracy, aristocracy, sorry, resulting in the introduction of the Kawi script and injecting of Islamic tradition into their native faith. I gotta find a better way to read these. It hurts my eyes almost. I feel like I'm squinting too hard. A pair of prison colonies, one male, one female. This is the Gemini Prime, owned by the UK. This pink one right here. I got my mouse on the wrong spot, but it's right here. The public, one male, one female, dedicated those criminals that the British government wanted to remove from the public eye, but had no particular desire to punish. The female island is inhabited mainly by suffragette types, suffragist types, and the male only by discredited politicians, the subjects of scandal, and the like. So just like a federal prison for men and women. The New West Timor, ADEIC. There's another area like that I learned about in the last area in Zenasia or Xenonasia. No matter how hostile the environment, nothing could stop the ADEIC when they heard that there were four cash crops to be found here, three of them unique: sandalwood, candle nuts, wine nuts, and gum nuts. All right, interesting. Territories with no inner circle. What is this for? Oh, this is for Geminesia. What's in Geminesia? I gotta check something real quick. It's a Haudu. How these monsters are wild. I was no Shangri-La's farther down. It's got to be in the other continent. That can't be the biggest continent. I thought Atlas was the biggest continent, or what? Aten? Maybe I'm wrong. one looks big too, with a lot of open space. Is this a whole? This is Shangri-La? Big down in this. Whoa. There's more oceans down there. Wow. That's a wild area. I want to know about this. What the? And they got those headless people and a couple of the others that we had seen in the. Man, now I'm getting way too. I'm getting way too lost in this thing. There's so many areas to cover. I want to cover another small area. That one's going to be huge to cover. I gotta double check how much time I got. So I'm gonna go to the area right in front of the Tiger's Gate. Looks like we got some interesting stuff over here. And this is Napoleon's son, who I was talking about, that the artist drew. This is supposed to be Napoleon's son. He was supposed to be some kind of great warrior or leader. But I do want to know about the areas right here. Why is this here? It's just on there. Is that what that was? Freemasonry stuff? I didn't get to see it. Sorry, I was just reading the comments. I thought he was gonna mess with me. See, you can't see the link I sent. Illuminati. I thought it was gonna be a joke. I thought it would have been a good setup. Have a good evening, Jonas. It's one of those things that cannot be confirmed or probably cannot be denied when it comes to anybody having that kind of knowledge in Freemasonry. Wouldn't tell anybody about it, would they? Like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of stuff that doesn't get out, especially with high-level Masons. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it would be out of your information you need to know. They'd be quick to not tell you. It wouldn't even be a discussion. Let's start with this little thing down here, and then we'll move our way up. because I did want to cover Atten. I might have time for Atten. I just had to check the time too. See where we were at. We got some kings down here now. All right. Is this the area? Let's go Vorshia. Let's start with the Kunlun Sea. The slow burn. Something on these islands, be it natural or supernatural, causes all processes to slow down. Matters burn slower, plants grow slower, even the wind feels sluggish and wet. And the natives themselves have adapted to this slowness in a way as their metabolisms slowed, similarly to the local fauna, and their lifespans increased with the oldest amongst them reaching 150 years. Well, yeah, I can zoom this more. Sorry. Well, the Ar- archipelago's position makes it a strategic point for a port. The island's slowing natural makes it nigh impossible for outsiders to settle to the merchant ports are largely managed by the locals. Are these supposed to be the native Kunalunians? Kunalian. Kuna- At 120 years old. He's about to reach retirement age. Jesus Christ. You get 30 years after retirement. Oh, wow. It's a busy life. Busy, busy life. Maybe you just work a little bit at the end of your life because you got so many people living. I don't know. The Kunalini, the Kunlun say, with delays and scheduling errors seemingly impossible to avoid here, colonial powers from the known world gave up on trying to claim territory and administering them directly, and so the native inhabitants maintained their sovereignty with little resistance. The Clunalian people trace their roots back to ancient Sumer, first arriving on the islands as their city was being razed by Sargon of Akkad. Is that a reference to? No, it wouldn't even be a reference. They're probably talking about the original if they're talking about Sumer or Sumer. God, that would be an old people. That would explain their age more than the slowing, the slowing area. Their ancestry found themselves trapped in a flaming city, forced to run through the inferno in a desperate attempt to find shelter. Miraculously, they managed to escape with their lives, diving into a nearby river to douse their burning bodies. When they surfaced, they found themselves in an unfamiliar land, which they initially believed to be some kind of afterlife, alone in a land of peace and abundance. These first Kundalinians would establish a society free of war, with not a single large conflict fought between the cities states across the entire history. Yeah, it's like Garden of Eden over here. They came out to a good place. What's the? It's about as far south as I'm gonna go off of the gate. The the Scrivenorita, Scrivenorita, treasure of the pirate queen, with Atlas reputation for bizarre natural phenomenon prevailing in each of its regions. The pirate explorers of the Great Cantonese Confederacy first assumed that this archi- archipelago's quirk was simply the formation of strange geometric landforms with small, with many small mesa and sudden changes in elevation. As they began to settle and investigate their new home, they found they would find the truth of, I can't even pronounce this, Sk- Scrivener's original, and then it makes me, it like throws me off completely once I like try to take out one of those names that he created. Scrivenoritas. Scr- Scriven Scrivenoratus origins defies any natural explanation. When exploring the caves, they would find an unending network of catacombs full of strange artifacts and alien machinery extending thousands of meters beneath the ocean steps and encompassing the entire archipelago. This discovery would reveal that islands of the Skivernorta were nothing more than the tops of the highest tower of a massive megacity the size of a large nation, so ancient that it had been caked in soil and sand sown despite over millions of years. So this, oh, well, let me see. You're talking about the whole area, I'm assuming, because everything's got to be, because they were referencing something sticking up, so it's got to be just this is the top of the ancient city, and I just know what's under there. It does kind of look like a mound the way it's highlighted, where it's shaded. I mean, this is a very interesting attire that they sport. Empressy. I'm glad they have the pronunciation here. Empressy. An empire ruled exclusively by a line of female monarchs. Nice. Or priestesses. Okay, so the people that are on this land, after fleeing Aten, the pirates of the Great Cantonese Confederacy found they could no longer sustain themselves through piracy on the most vacant waters of the new ocean. The crew disbanded and many ships departed to see new opportunities elsewhere. The rest chose to continue following Empress Puhoi Puhoi the second, maybe, who founded the first city in Scrivelorta, an archipelago encompassing the ruin of an ancient urban megastructure, that the centerpiece of which began a giant statue exploring a labyrinth of derelict ruins, recovering ancient artifacts, and learning to harness their still functioning mechanisms. Is the culture's foundation of the Hoidurizen Empressy. So, gosh, they were using the alien technology. That's cool. Pirate Empress Puhin, the second of the Great Canton Confederacy, after her grandmother escapes in the South China Sea and eventually forays into Zenisia and her mother's great feats of adventuring with the hobgoblins of Atten, she earned her place in the history books by leading the fleet into undiscovered oceans and establishing a new nation on the Isles of the Scrivenerota. All right, let's check one more. I want to see one more area above this because I know Atten has actually the some of the beings that we were looking at in the beginning in the opening scene, and that was one of the ones I wanted to go over, but we didn't really get time. I want to make sure we get time next time. So I know what we're going over next time. I know I went in front of most of the gates and started on top. Archipelago. 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 What's going on, Kenneth? I don't even know if I want to do the whole area, but I will cover the people that are in it since I'm not covering the whole area. So I'm gonna go down next time from Atten. Actually, what time am I in? Anyway, I got 10 minutes left anyway. Accent is on Pel. Archipelago. Pilago. Ilago. Montego. Baby, why don't we go? Yeah, I have no idea. I butcher that word every time they say it, and I know they're going to say it on every single one I go to. Alarmians. Those. That's the one I'm sitting on now. Probably want to check that one out. I don't have time. I got time to gibby gab for a minute. But I did want to read these because these are the people of the Etten that they were talking about on the shores of, well, not on the shores, on one of the gates. The Dudens of Eden. We got the Orc Brownies. Average height 150 centimeters. I'll give you a little once over what they're about. Regions of South Central Aden. Farming. Something. It's all agriculture and farming. They have a lot of influence on the gnomes and the goblins. Leprechaun. Average height 90 centimeters. It's not very tall. Leprechauns are the most ancient and archaic branch of the Dundas, inhabiting the wastelands and jungles of the far eastern Aten since first settling foot on the continent nearly 1 million years ago. All of the Aten species have proven to be the most isolationist and resistant to change. Well, yeah, you can tell me they're hard to find too, which began building permanently settlements and fortresses to defend against goblin pirates on several occasions. All right. Cultivate crops, herd animals, plunder from goblin ships, allowing them to grow into the first true leprechaun kingdom. The leprechaun widespread mistrust and general disdain. Oops. Yeah, they're the OGs. I bet the gnomes are the second oldest, right? Gnomes are dwarves, are native to the temperature. Wait, temperate islands. Oh, so they like the northern. The gnomes like the northern weather. The dwarf definition might not be appropriate. I didn't. I didn't realize that because the other ones were all made out to be like races of people, and that one not so much. It's a little deeper. Like, oh, these ones are they're described as an accident. What about the hobbits? Are there hobbits on this one too? I didn't think I had the hobbits on here. No, hobgoblins. What's the tallest of these things? The orc brownies, 130 centimeters, same height as the dwarves. Or no, the hobgoblins are 145. We got a 150? No, 150. Is that what the brownies are? 150. I think the brownies are 150. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Solid test. Wheat from the chaff. What? What are we talking about? I think it's all a test of who loves truth. Is by loving the truth that we know how to love people in the right way. What about people? Well, what about people that don't want the truth and they want to enjoy artwork because um, and they want to enjoy other forms of art and just the positive things in life rather than getting all the truth, because sometimes the truth can be painful. How do we get past that point of wanting even the painful sides of the truth, you know I think that's the hardest part to get across to people. That's why people don't dig. They might find something they don't want to hear. Yeah. Or he just uses, you know, he could be Canadian. There's a good chance he's Canadian too. French Canadian, maybe. Not French Canadian. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. I'm gonna actually wrap it up on that note. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do more of these soon just to cover the outer rim. And there's still whole other sections I want to go over. So I'll talk to everybody soon. Have a good night. Cheers, Jonas. Stay safe. And yeah, everybody have a good evening.